What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, you guys? Cheers to another week. I hope you all had a wonderful, wonderful week. Incoming Friday tomorrow. Today is Thursday, you guys. I hope you all have had a wonderful week thus far. Everybody's safe, warm. It's really, really chilly out there. So we're going to get right into it, you guys, because this coaching carousel that has been going on is almost to a complete stop. That people have hired. These teams are hiring. They're filling out their vacancies. Should I say filling in their vacancies? And we're going to just talk about it. We're going to get right into it, starting with Cleveland Browns, you guys. Shedeur Sanders has a coach. Shedeur Sanders has a brand new coach. They have hired uh, Baltimore Ravens OC Todd Monken. He will now be the Cleveland Browns head coach. And people seem to not like this hire. I do not understand why, you guys. I'm gonna share this screen really quickly. Because for me, honestly, I like the hire. I don't think there's anything wrong with it at all. Let me go to it really quickly, you guys. I'm gonna share my screen so we can talk about it. Talk about it. Talk about it. All right, here we go.
Duncan, which means he won't be going to New York to be the Giants' offensive coordinator. Instead, he'll be leaving Baltimore to become the next head coach of the Cleveland Browns, who chose Monken over the Rams' passing game coordinator, Nate Shieldhouse, and over their own defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz, which creates its own set of issues. But the Ravens have locked in on the offensive side of the football. By bringing in Monken, they have somebody to run their offense and not have to worry about going out to get a coach that they feel like could elevate the offense. They feel like their defense is strong enough to go on. They'd like to bring back Jim Schwartz, even if he doesn't want to be back right now, but they wanted somebody to help elevate the offense. They believe Todd Monken will be able to do that for the Browns instead of the New York Giants this year. And so they have now hired Todd Monken as the next head coach of the Cleveland Browns.
Adam with us all show long. Interesting so far. For the majority, we've seen.
With new, gentler scents from Clorox.
These teams go with experience for these head coaching jobs. Hawk and Dan here. Hawk, what do you think of Monken's fit for the Browns, specifically an organization you know well?
Yeah, I think it fits for what they're doing now. I think Monken's a good coach, right? Like, I think even with his offense, and you saw with Lamar, you've seen it at his height when Lamar was an MVP and they had one of the top offenses. You've seen it sputter a little bit after Lamar got hurt and, some of the back channel issues. But the thing about Monken is he has familiarity with the organization, was an offensive coordinator there. And I think for what he does offensively and what the Browns have done traditionally is they're making the personnel decisions. They're hopeful that they can have a defensive coordinator like Schwartz stick around. I guess that remains to be seen. But if you know that's taken care of, personnel is taken care of. We need a head coach who can command a room, been coaching in the NFL for a long time, and then 3 words: development of offense, elevation of offense, and stability of offense. And that puts them closer than where they were previously if they can do those things.
All right, you guys, let me get right into it. Okay, honestly, I don't see what the discrepancy is about this because for me, they have a defense, right? NFL, the one thing we always say about the Cleveland Browns is that they got Myles Garrett, they got their defense. They're gonna win games because they have a defense, they have a defense, they have a defense, they have a defense. We say that year in and year out, right? What they don't have and what they haven't had, and God knows how long, is consistency and strong QB play, right? The offense side of the ball, has been on the struggle bus for a while now. So honestly speaking, it makes sense they went out and got someone who's an offensive-minded coach. Now, Jim Schwartz, I know that he feels some kind of way because he was hoping to get that head coaching opportunity. And if I was there, I get it, right? I've been here, like, give me a chance, show you what I could do. But they feel like, look, we're strong enough on this side. We want somebody to develop, and that makes sense. Like what Hawk was saying, you think about Shedeur, he hasn't been officially given that starting QB position yet. As a supporter of Shedeur, I'm hoping that he does, but it hasn't been officially announced. Andrew Berry said that the new coach they're going to hire was going to have some say. He said Shedeur made great strides, but he never said, "Hey, Shedeur is going to be our guy." You have Shedeur, you still got Deshaun Watson there. You got to pay, I think, over $80 million guaranteed this season, whether he's playing or whether he's riding the bench. I don't know what he's doing. And Dylan Gabriel. So it seems like there may still be a QB competition looming. Not sure what they're going to do there. But if you're going to bring somebody in, you bring somebody in, who's strong offensive wise. Like to me, that just makes perfect sense. Obviously, he's not the one that's solely responsible for Lamar, being who he is. But Lamar did have an MVP caliber season under Todd Monken as the offensive coordinator. So to me, if he can take what he's learned and what he's done with Baltimore Ravens. I'm not going to talk about how he looked this year because Lamar was hurt. It would be unfair to say, well, this year they had a down year. They were 8-9. Like, he was hurt. He was not himself. We've seen Lamar play a lot better. We know he can play better. So I'm not going to judge him based off of that, but I think that, he's going to learn. He's something that he said a few weeks ago was that he wished that he did have a better relationship with Lamar in terms of communication. So he has a chance to right that wrong here with the Cleveland Browns because you have young players, in Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel. If they decide they have a lot of draft picks, if they decide to go into the draft and get somebody else out, that there's time to right that wrong. So there's this all in all, I think it's a good hire. I know people were upset about it. I really don't get why. Maybe I'm missing something here. Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up, Mel? How are you? Y'all go check out Mel. He's been going in. Okay, he's been on the late night creep tip for the past I don't know how many nights. I'm on my YouTube and I see he's on there live going in about the NBA. He's been applying pressure to one LeBron James. He has not let up over his neck. LeBron, the Nuggets. Yeah, you should guys make sure you tune in. Man Down Sports, you guys make sure if you're not subscribed to that channel, make sure you do. He always got something coming out. It's really, really good watch, you guys. Very interesting. He holds he keeps it a buck. Okay? And he's gonna come with facts. He's gonna come with really cool, really cool what's what I'm looking for? Pictures and diagrams and all kind of stuff, you guys. He goes in on that channel, man. So you gotta follow Man Down Sports. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you do. All right. But back to this Cleveland Browns hire. Look, all in all, I was hoping that Shedeur would do enough where it was going to be like, man, okay, Shedeur is our guy. He's going to be the future of this franchise, But if I'm being completely honest and I'm not being biased, Shedeur had some great moments. He made some great strides, but obviously needed more weapons. Half of the weapons got hurt. He came in later on in the season, didn't really have any reps for a while. So there was a lot, that didn't happen for me to really fairly judge him. But you have to judge him based on what you saw, right? You know what I mean? So it is what it is. If we're being completely honest, he didn't play bad. You know what I mean? I was proud. If you were here on my channel, I went live every time, Shedeur played from the time he got the starting position all the way until the last game of the season for him. But it wasn't like he just outplayed, Dylan Gabriel. He was by far like just way, way better. You know what I mean? Like he didn't take care of the ball. And I mean, a lot of turnovers. Dylan Gabriel didn't have as many. He wasn't as exciting to watch as Shedeur. You know what I mean? But if we're looking by certain little details and things, it depends on who you're looking for, what you're looking for. But I'm glad they have someone like Todd Monken, who's been with the Zay Flowers, who's been with the Lamar. I'm sure he's learned a lot from Mr. Harbaugh, right? Being there with him because he's also a good coach who's now obviously with the Giants in New York. Hey, I'm in New York, you guys. So I'm excited to see what they do this season. But when you've been with someone who's won a championship, like I would hope that you pick up championship habits. You know what I mean? When you're around someone who's been to the top and know what it's like, knows what it takes. You see Lamar day in and day out. You've been in those meetings. You've been a part of bringing Derrick Henry in, a Zay Flowers, a Bateman. Like all the things. You know what I mean? So you know what it takes to have a QB playing at a high level. You've been a part of it. So I am hoping that with his experience, he's not new, you guys. He's a little bit longer than two. He's a little bit older. He's experienced. He's mature. He's not one of the younger coaches. I was hoping that they didn't go. Now, if he's going to be calling the plays, obviously, right now, I would personally love, in addition, if they did decide also bring in, a Cliff Kingsbury. I think having him like in addition to a Todd Monken would do wonders for someone like for Shedeur, for the offense in general. But I'm speaking about specifically for Shedeur because obviously he's there, and as a supporter, I want him to get that starting QB position. But I think having someone like Todd Monken to run the offense as a whole, having someone like Cliff Kingsbury to even specialize and hone in even more so on the offense and have that one-on-one time more so in terms of the development with one Shedeur Sanders, because as a head coach, you got a lot going on, right? A lot of things that you got to focus on. It's not just like it's just one thing anymore, just strictly offense. Now it's everything, right? So I think that would be even better if they could. but we'll see. So there's that, the defense, I don't expect to take a step back now. We'll see if Jim Schwartz decides to stay or if he's so disgruntled that he asks to leave and they let him leave because he's under contract, so they don't have to let him go. But we'll see. Now, if he does leave, the Buffalo Bills fan in me will gladly take him. Okay, gladly take him. Let's switch right on over, you guys. Okay, since we are talking about the Buffalo Bills, okay, they have officially hired Joe Brady. You guys, they hired Joe Brady. That conversation's done. I don't know where they were gonna go with this. They fired Sean McDermott, and I was like, what are you guys doing? You're bringing in Brian Daboll, obviously, who we saw with the Giants, didn't look too hot. He had one good season with Sir Daniel Jones. He got paid, and then it just went downhill. Never ever came back up that hill. So, that's that. And then we saw how Indiana Jones looked when he got away from the Giants. Okay, MVP conversation, and had he not gotten hurt, I think it would have gotten a lot further this season. But now we will never know, right? So you think about that, and then obviously the whole history about his experience with Josh, and he was great for Josh's development, but Josh is no longer still that same young QB who needs help in that regard. Now, help with the offense, yes, bringing the right weapons, another one wide receiver, maybe two, you know what I mean? Because Keon Coleman, I don't know if they're keeping him after how the owner, Mr. Pagula, threw him under the bus last week in that press conference. So we shall see what they do. But I'm going to play a little bit of what Joe Brady had to say. And he seems to be really, really excited. The players showed up today to support him, which is great. They're not bitter, I guess, about Sean. They kind of forgot about Sean just that fast, right? But, assuming that Joe Brady didn't have anything to do with Sean being fired. Like, he didn't feed any inside information, and this was just strictly an ownership decision. Then why not support him, right? Because he's been a good OC, so I'm not mad at that. I'll play a little bit of what he had to say in his press conference, you guys. You could hear it. I didn't listen to it. I was listening to it with you guys live in real time, all right? So let me just go share the screen, share that screen. All right, here we go. Uh-oh. Do-do-do.
I'm trying not to get emotional already. I didn't do well in the staff room. Thank you. I want to first start with gratitude. I hope I'm loud enough. Someone will tell me in the back if I'm not.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
I want to first start by thanking Mr. Bagula and the Bagula family. Your commitment to this franchise, to this community, and winning is evident in everything you do. When this opportunity came along, I didn't want to just be a head football coach. To be the head football coach to the Buffalo Bills, doing it with the right people, under the right direction, with the right alignment. Thank you for the trust you've placed in me and the responsibility to lead with you. I don't know where she is, but I want to thank my wife, Lauren. She's right in front. I thought she was going to be with the little baby. She's right in front. I said hi to the guys, didn't even say hi to her. God, off to a good start. I definitely can't look at you now. This job demands sacrifice, right? I'm calling you on the way to a game while you're going into labor, right? And I find out after a game that you go through, you give birth by yourself.
Oh,
This game takes away time and energy and presence from you. And you've carried the weight that comes with this job so that I can pursue my calling. Your strength, your belief, and your steadiness is the foundation that allows me to do what I do. And you believed in me long before this moment ever arrived. I am nothing without you, and I will not get anywhere ever in life without you. I didn't cry, so that's not going to go well. To my parents, Joe and Jody, and my sister JC, that are hopefully being babysitters somewhere in the back.
That coach.
Yeah, well, the culture starts with them. When you watch a guy that's playing with 17 sets the tone of the culture, right? The men in the locker room set the culture, regardless of who the head coach is. And it's my job to making sure that I'm allowing them to be their personality, allowing them to play to their personality, because that's what the culture is. Like I said, I understand the expectations that come with this job, but it's important that we understand that this is going to be a new year and we have to start over. We don't just get to pick up where we left off and think that, hey, we're in the position that, hey, next week we're going to be in the conference championship game. And there's going to be a lot of work. And I believe Mr. Bagul always says we're going to work tirelessly with it. We're going to have the competitive stamina to start over. But I'm excited about the direction that we have and the people that we have, and I believe in that.
All right, you guys. So I wanted just to play a little bit. I didn't want to play like the whole entire press conference, introductory press conference, like an hour and some change. So I'm not gonna keep you here that long, obviously. I was a little on the fence about this hire. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, the Bills' offense has not been the problem. It's been the defensive side of things. Now I know that he had to say, "Well, Mr. Pagula, you guys are this and that," because obviously they gave him opportunity. So he would be remiss to not acknowledge it. That was the smart thing to do. He seems to be very, very genuine. Like he said, sacrifice comes with it. Letting his wife go into labor alone, missing his child being born is one heck of a sacrifice, because you cannot get that moment back at all. So shout out to him for being that dedicated to being there, and committed. So I can understand why he decided to go with him ultimately. I do understand it. He seems like he's very passionate. He really cares about his job and the players in the locker room. And they showed up. Josh Allen had surgery, apparently. Didn't know he had surgery. We knew that he had something going on with his foot. If you watch the playoffs, even before the playoffs, he was kind of struggling with that foot. So they're saying that he had like a broken bone in his foot. He had to have surgery, and he came and he was on crutches, but he came to support him, which is pretty cool. Says a lot when the QB's there to support you and your other team mates as well, to show support for the new hire. I do not trust Brandon Bean. I do not trust whatsoever. He's done nothing, in my humble opinion, for me to say, you know what, he's gonna bring no doubt this roster. I don't know. I feel like year in and year out they put the onus on Josh Allen. I get it, because he's your franchise guy, so everything leads and starts with him. But he's still one person. You know what I mean? I don't. They His foot got hurt when they played the Browns. I believe like week 15, week 16. I'm not sure which week it was. But when we didn't necessarily know to what degree that his foot was hurt, but those in the locker room did. So you got to know when your QB's hurting and he can't play the way that he wants to play, or used to play in the same caliber that he's used to playing. You got to show up. You got to help him out. You know what I mean? And the defense is glaringly lacking. It's been glaringly lacking for a few seasons now. So something has to change on that side. Now, I don't know who they're going to bring in, if they're going to keep the same guy or what they're going to do. I'm really hoping, because, Sean was the defensive-minded guy. Even though the defense wasn't what it should have been, they still got to AFC Championship more than once. And it's always the playoffs, always, always, always. So I know what he said, and I understand the mindset. Like, look, we can't come into this new season thinking, hey, we've gotten here before, we're going to get right back there again. It's going to take work, because he's a first-time head coach, like, and when Sean came in, he was a first-time head coach, and they took a chance on him, so I'm glad they're paying it back and promoting someone from within where they have familiarity, and he knows how the organization is run, knows the players, they know him, there's trust built, there's a connection, all the things, right? Those things are important, because you got to have that. The foundation is there. And that's the first part to me in building a relationship, right? Now it's something different. And I like that Joe Brady's not shying away from expectations. He knows that Super Bowl is the goal. Being that he's not new, though. When I say he's not new, being new to being a first-time head coach, but not being new to being in that building, to not seeing how things have been running day in and day out. He's had a first-hand look at seeing how Sean McDermott did things, and ultimately how it did or didn't work. So he has a chance to correct those things, but he's still a first-time head coach, and you still got to adjust, in the same sense. It's different when you're in the passenger side of a car and then now you're behind the wheel, like the view is very, very different when the responsibility is on you. And because they've gotten where they've gotten every single year. Playoffs, AFC Championship, divisional round, I wonder how much leeway and how much grace they're going to give him because he's not new to that franchise. If he was someone brand new, being promoted, coming from college or something like that, I wonder if they would have a little bit more grace. I think he's going to have more than one season, unless like the Bills just take like 10 steps back. But ultimately, it's championship. It's championship. That is what the expectation is. And he cannot go back at all, especially the offense is one thing that can't go back. Now, Brandon, like I said, I don't trust him. He's done nothing to me to bring this roster up to speed. Josh cannot always save you, especially now that these teams around are better. Whether or not Drake wins the Super Bowl or not, the fact of the matter is that he's young. They spent a lot of money on that roster to bring in the weapons necessary to get them to where they are, and they are, in fact, at the dance, right? They got tickets to the dance. So they're headed already out. And maybe they're ready, but if not, they're getting ready to head there, to Cali, to the Super Bowl. And I know that Josh, was paid, I think, $250 million. I think he got how many guaranteed? Maybe $56 million guaranteed. I'm not 100% sure, you guys, so do not quote me. What I am saying is that takes up a lot of your roster, a lot of your cap space. Can you do what needs to be done? Can Brandon Beane, I don't know how much say Joe Brady's going to have in terms of bringing in who he thinks is a good idea for the roster, right? The defensive coordinator, like, what's the plan? How are we going in this draft? Have they started researching yet? You know what I mean? Looking at the college players, looking at who's already declared. You already have your top picks, but you're gonna have to dig deep, right? You're gonna have to find the pieces, right? The diamonds in the rough, as I call them, in the third round, in the fourth round, in the fifth round. Like, those pieces are always there, but you gotta know what you're looking for, and you have to spend time. Honestly speaking, Brandon Beane has been there for quite a few years. You only drafted three Pro Bowls, three Pro Bowl caliber players. So your eye for talent and assessing talent, to me, is not where it should be. And that's just how I feel about it. If they're going to fire Sean McDermott, I think he should have went along with him because you've been there as well. So as opposed to throwing Sean under the bus with Keon Coleman, when you've had all these years, who else have you brought to the team besides Stephon Diggs? He's one person, obviously, but he left. It didn't work out. You didn't get anything for him in return, really. So what are you doing there? I don't know, you guys, but we're going to see exactly what happens. We're going to see what happens, you guys. We'll move along, right? Because that remains to be seen. Eagles have hired their new OC, you guys. We were here, if you guys were out here Monday, me and Nolly were on here every Monday. Make sure you check it out. Talking about the Eagles and about how nobody wants to be their damn coach. Like, is it Nick Sirianni? Is it Jalen Hurts? Like, what's going on, But they have found their guy, you guys. Breaking news a few hours ago, actually. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. For those of you who do not know, he was the QB coach for the Packers. So he's headed from Green Bay to Philly. How does that look, right? They're gonna be ready to play the Eagles when that time comes. You took our coach, really? Now people start feeling kind of personal when it comes to that kind of stuff, man. You took our coach, you left us for that? You left this offense over here with Jay Love to go to the Eagles? Really? Okay. We see what you're doing. So I'm gonna play this a little bit, you guys, for those of you who do not know who he is.
Moments ago, the Philadelphia Eagles hired the Green Bay Packers quarterbacks coach, Sean Mannion, as their new offensive coordinator. He takes over for Kevin Patullo. He's 33 years old, very young, but he obviously is highly thought of. In 2023, he was playing quarterback with the Vikings and Seahawks, and now at the age of 33, he's the offensive coordinator for the Eagles. He follows a long line of play callers that Jalen Hurts has worked with. Last year, Kevin Patullo. This year, it'll be Sean Mannion. There's been a constant source of turnover there at the offensive coordinator position for the Philadelphia Eagles. The latest version will be Sean Mannion, the Packers quarterbacks coach, who now comes in and takes over as the Eagles play caller.
Former third-round pick out of Oregon State. Eagles currently tied for the fourth best odds to win next year's Super Bowl and win.
All right, you guys. Oh man, Drake May got a shoulder injury. Here we go, right? Here we go. But nevertheless, you guys, look. Um Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? When it comes to the Eagles hiring Sean Mannion, quarterbacks coach for the Packers, I'm not mad at it. Now, the tricky thing is the expectation is Super Bowl again because we've seen this team 2 out of the past 4 seasons get to Super Bowl. We know that they can win a good 12, 13, 14 games easy. Even if they don't necessarily get, their ticket to the dance, we know that they can get there. We've seen them get there a few seasons with an offense that looks stagnant, looks stale, it looks predictable, that's not utilizing their weapons properly. So now with him coming from Packers. I like that they went with someone young, someone who was in the NFL, obviously, a few seasons ago. Like, he's not someone who's been on the couch for like the past 6, 7 years. And here I am, you know what I mean? Give me opportunity, you know what I mean? So he's still new, he's young, he can relate to the players. I like how the quarterback look in Green Bay. I'm focusing not even so much on Jordan Love. I'm talking about their backup, Willis. I think that he looked pretty good when he got a chance to play. I was actually pleasantly surprised. So if he had anything to do with the quarterbacks and he was hands on with them and he had direct line of communication and how they looked and how they played this season, I'm not mad at it. Now, Jordan Love is inconsistent, so you may say, well, you know what? That could be attributed to the QB coach. It could be, maybe it's not. Jordan Love, he's been inconsistent for a while to me. So I don't know if it's solely on the QB coach or if that's just something that's within him. And we'll have to wait to see how that goes. When they lost obviously to the Bears, I put a lot of that on not just on Jordan Love, a lot of that also on the coaching staff. You know what I mean? Because you lost twice to this team in the same fashion, leading, dominant fashion, and then after halftime, you get too complacent, you get kind of chill, and you watch the lead just slip away from you. You don't do anything about it. So that to me is on the coaching staff, on the players who are playing. I can't solely put that on Jordan Love and the QB coach. But I will say they have had, this is what Jalen Hurts is, how many OCs has he had in the past few years? Well, this is his fifth, fourth. I don't even know. He's had so many, and that's a lot. Typically you gotta learn. It's one thing when you promote Kevin Patullo, right? He was already there, so I don't think they really changed too much, obviously, even though they should have. But you got somebody else coming in from the outside, and maybe it's really need a breath of fresh air, someone who has not been in the building before, someone who's coming from a different place, someone who's younger, someone who was playing recently, someone who's going to come up with some fresh ideas, some new creative ideas, a bit of a calculated risk. I would have liked if they would have went with Mike McDaniel. I think he's more creative, but I don't really know that much about him. So we're going to see. One thing is for sure, Jalen Hurts is not Jordan Love in that regard. But when I say that, it's not a bad thing because there's no shade at all. I've seen Jalen Hurts outplay Patrick Mahomes on the biggest stage not once but twice, argue with somebody else, okay? Because I saw it with my own eyes. You cannot convince me otherwise. So we know that he can show up when he needs to. We can trust him in big moments to deliver. The thing is with Jalen Hurts, I don't know why Jalen Hurts and the offense took a step back this season. But I tell you what, we're going to find out. We're going to find out if this was strictly they took a step back because Jalen Hurts is not able to step up, or if it was solely the OC. Nick Sirianni cannot hide behind this new hire. Okay, you can't hide behind it because you are the head coach. And I'm telling you right now, if it looks the same way it did this past season, with the same stagnant offense, you still got wide receivers complaining. AJ Brown, is he going to stay? Is he going to go? Now, for me, if you're not going to get somebody who's just as talented, more talented, I don't know about getting rid of him. I really, really don't. But if he's going to still be unhappy and there can't be some sort of meeting of the minds moving forward, then respectfully, you should trade him. And again, we will take him in Buffalo. I'm just saying. Josh Allen could make it work. You got A.J. Brown, you got James Cook, you got Josh Allen, you got Shakir, Keon. I don't know if he's going to be there or not. Who knows? Keon going to the Eagles could be good for him. Sometimes you got to get out. Like he may actually flourish there. Alongside Smitty and around other people. He doesn't really have there's not really a lot of talented wide receivers that play for the Bills, respectfully. So maybe going to the Eagles and being around other players who were stronger might, kind of push him to rise to the next level, But we're gonna see though, you guys. Right now, I don't have much to say about him because he's brand new. He doesn't have a long history where I can really judge him and say this is awful, this is bad. I can't really do that right now. So I'm not mad at this new hire. We're gonna see what's gonna happen though. I'll tell you what, if it looks the same way it did last season, Jalen Hurts might be on the bus out. Him and Nick Sirianni. Because one thing I see about Howie, he's gonna always keep moving. He don't stay stagnant with the same pieces for too long. Okay, so we're gonna see how that goes, you guys. And last but not least, you guys, we're gonna go right into it. Okay, so oh my goodness, the Hall of Fame outrage. Folks are so upset about the Hall of Fame outrage that has taken place with Bill Belichick being snubbed, not being the first ballot Hall of Famer, not being voted. He did not receive 40 of the votes. I believe there's 10 votes that he didn't receive needed. And honestly speaking, I'm gonna play a little bit from what they're saying, but to me at this point, before I really started watching football, there were two names I heard consistently. It was Bill Belichick, and there was one Thomas Nathaniel Brady Esquire. That's my name for you guys. If you know, you know. I give everybody nicknames, okay? So I'm like, how is it? Even when I wasn't watching, I heard these two names constantly, right? You think about the history, the amount of wins he's had. His resume is crazy. And I'm just like, if he's not a first ballot, like if he can't get voted on the first ballot, then who the heck is? Like what are we judging by? Between this, I know they're not the same thing, right? They're separate entities, but they're still under the NFL umbrella. So I'm mentioning, I'm looping it together, you guys. So just stay with me. When you have the Hall of Fame, and right now everybody's like, well, what are we doing here? Like, it's lost some integrity. How was the voting being ran? And then the Pro Bowl has been under fire this week because Shedeur got voted in because he's taking Drake May's place. And although you had players, QBs who decided they didn't want to do it, everybody's mad that Shedeur is doing it. You know what I mean? They're tweeting out about it, or it's not what it used to be, and all these different things. So now I'm just like thinking about it in totality. What's going on, man? And like I said a while ago, I feel like the NFL took a step back in terms of integrity. And these things, honestly speaking, that have happened this past week have done them no favors whatsoever. I'm just going to play some of what they're saying about Bill Belichick. Again, I don't watch these clips before I watch them with you guys on here, y'all. I like to do things live in real time, so I don't want to feel like I'm memorizing anything. I'm reacting. It's not rehearsed. So let me go ahead and just.
Everything in the Hall of Fame, all of the inductees, everybody in the Hall of Fame, just because of 10 or 11 or 12 ignorant, jealous who did not vote for him.
Nobody should want to show up to the Hall of Fame if Bill Belichick can't be in there as the first ballot.
All right, lots of passionate reaction to the news that Belichick will not be first ballot Hall of Famer, of course. So in the uproar that followed this, the Pro Football Hall of Fame released this statement in part. It said, Pro Football Hall of Fame understands and respects the passionate reaction of many fans, media members, and enshrinees of the hall itself in light of published reports regarding the voting results for the class of 2026. It goes on to say, quote, if it is determined that any member violated the selection process bylaws, they understand action will be taken. That could include the possibility that such selector would not remain a member of the committee going forward. Mina Kimes now joins us here on First Take. Mina, should the Hall of Fame recast their vote and maybe include Bill Belichick this time?
No, I don't think so. I agree with literally every person on earth, apparently, except for the people in the Hall of Fame, that this was a mistake. And it is a mistake that they're going to have to wear forever, quite frankly, because you can't just say, whoopsies, we're going to take it back because of the result here. I don't think that is the right way to rectify this. What should happen, and what I think the Hall of Fame has to seriously consider, is changing the process that got them to this place. There's a couple of things I think that can happen. Number one, Dan and I are AP voters. Our MVP votes are public every year, as well as the other NFL awards. I think the Hall of Fame should seriously consider adopting a similar transparency, because you're less likely to have silly results like this, I think, if people know that their votes are going to be out there. And then the other thing, the actual process that resulted in this, I think some of it has to do with changes that they've made to how these votes are tabulated. As I understand, for enshrinees or nominees, in a category like Belichick's, the seniors, the coaches, it used to be an up and down vote, and they would have to get an 80% mark. And if 80% of the people voted Bill Belichick yes, then it would get in. But at some point they changed it, and I think this contributed to this result where, Ryan, it was 3 of 5. And as I understand it, and I think one of the voters in Kansas City actually explained this, some of them thought, oh, Bill Belichick's a lock. I'm going to spend my vote on 3 guys who I want to get in, thus accidentally canceling out Bill Belichick. I do think that's also part of how we got there. That, to me, is something they should seriously consider changing moving forward, because it can create bad results and embarrassing results like the one we have here today.
All that sounds really, really good, but I don't think this is a mistake. I really do not think this is a mistake. Now, one person did speak out. I'm not sure if me and Mina are talking about the same person. And I forgot his name. I don't want to take time looking for it, but he said the same. Like, I thought, Bill Belichick was going to be obviously a short ballot, first ballot Hall of Famer, and he wanted to give his vote to people who are older, who he felt like this was like their last opportunity. He's like, I didn't have a problem with Bill Belichick being voted or not being voted, but I spent my vote like this because these people are older and they're like on their last chance. Obviously, this is Bill Belichick's first year of eligibility, so he still has time, But to me, like I said, before I even really started watching NFL, those 2 names, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, were the 2 names I heard constantly, just like in passing from fellow people in school or whatever, watching, scrolling through like the news channels and stuff like that, newspapers, things of that nature. So it's really, really wild to me, but I don't think this is a mistake. Now, I do like the idea of putting your name on it. Look, okay, if it ain't directed, it ain't respected. Put your name on it and stand 10 toes on it, period. If you feel like Bill Belichick did not deserve to be there because of the scandal, with the Flagate and so on and so forth, although that happened years ago and he did still win a few times after it. But if you're one of those that's like, look, he needs to serve penance for what happened a year or however long they're thinking, or they feel that he should have to serve that penance, then stand on it. Absolutely. Absolutely. I just do not think, I think they know that because it's anonymous, people that really had a grudge or felt some kind of way about it all this time was like, okay, we finally get a chance to kind of get him back. I don't believe this was a mistake where everybody thought, oh, well, he's going to get in. I can just use my vote elsewhere. Oh, no. People talk, okay? And I'm sure in that room, people that vote, the fellow voters, they talk amongst each other. I do not believe this was a mistake in terms of, oh, well, I thought he was going to get in and, well, he has more time, so that's why I didn't vote him. No, stop the cap. Some people, I'm not going to say all, but some of these people, clearly, I wholeheartedly believe, felt some kind of way. You know what I mean? And now they can use this. It's the perfect opportunity for me to get you back and kind of hold you from something that we know that you should rightfully have, you rightfully earned and deserve. Now, one thing I haven't heard anybody say is, well, with the whole scandal situation that happened years ago, that he doesn't deserve because of that. You know what I mean? Because of integrity that he's played with or that he did play with in the past. And I'm pretty sure there's somebody or some people that do feel that way. But honestly speaking, when you think about his resume, it really speaks for itself. And my thing is, so because him and Tom Brady were like this, Tom won without him, but everything he won, it was pretty much him and Big Bill. Is Tom Brady going to get the same treatment when it's his time? Or is it going to be different? And I know they're talking about them redoing the vote, but after this whole big uproar and scandal, you're just going to go back and say, sorry, April Fools, we're playing. Come on, Bill, come on in here. Like, how are you going to go back and do that? You can't go back and do that. So this whole, if I'm Bill Belichick, I don't want you to be doing the vote and just give me like a pity nomination, so to speak, after the whole uproar is what caused it. If nobody really say anything about it, would this really be conversation? No, because it's been a huge uproar amongst the players. You had LeBron James tweeting out, Patrick Mahomes, JJ, JJ Watt. I mean, I saw all kinds of people speaking out about this. Stephen A, Shannon Sharp. I mean, the list goes on and on. I think anybody who's anybody like spoke out in favor. Like what Tom Brady himself spoke out. Like, what are we doing? You know, so you can't just go ahead and erase it though. You know, and just say he made a mistake. You know, let's just go ahead. Now, if you're gonna go and what it said in their statement, I'm paraphrasing. If you're gonna go and you're gonna investigate, or we're going to find out if there's like we investigate if anybody did these things in a lack of a lack of integrity, in a less than integral way, you're going to then remove them. Who are the people? Who are the people? Like, let it be known. Like, why is it a secret? You know what I mean? You get a chance to vote, and if you feel like someone is deserving, then stand behind your vote. If you feel like someone is not deserving, then stand behind your vote. Either way, stand on it. So I don't, all this hiding behind when things like this happen. I don't like it, because you never know. I don't know who the voters are. None of us know, right? But there could be a few people in there that if we found out, we're like, oh, that's why he didn't vote for him. Oh, that's why she didn't vote for him. You know what I mean? I don't like that. Like I said, I agree with Mina Kimes with that. If people had to put their name out there and your votes were made public, you know what I mean? It'll be a little bit different. I really and truly wholeheartedly feel that way, you guys. It's really, really crazy though. I'm just so curious that when Tom Brady gets his chance, will they treat him the same way they treated Bill Belichick? And probably not, I think, especially if the names are made public at that point. If it's still a secret and on a hush hush and on a down low, then maybe. Because they're one. Like I said, they won all pretty much together. You know what I mean? Tom won one without him, but for all other ones, he won with him. So if you're gonna punish Bill, then you gotta punish Tom, right? And if Bill Belichick is not a sure ballot first ballot Hall of Famer, then who the heck is? You know what I mean? Like how are we doing this? You know, it's really, really crazy. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, in spite of how you feel about him, if you like the Patriots, you didn't the Patriot way, you think he was a good coach, you feel like you thought he was good, but he's not anymore because Tom Brady's not there and he didn't win without him. It took all kinds of steps back. You fine. You're entitled to that opinion. But the fact of the matter is that he won like hell. I mean, like, his resume speaks for itself. And even after that whole entire scandal, he still went on again to win some more. It wasn't like his career or his time winning ended there and that was it. No. He still went on, to continue, in terms of success, him and Tom. So this is going to be really, really interesting, and I'm curious to see how they try to right this wrong. I look forward to it, you guys. But look, you guys, I'm gonna keep you guys here all night. I just want to come on here and talk to you guys about that, because these things were like, I was like, oh, it's a lot going on. Let me get on here and talk to my people. So if you guys are new here, welcome. Please hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of this content. I'll be back on here tomorrow because the NBA also has a lot going on. And I want to talk about that as well, you guys. But in the meantime, thank you for tuning in. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful night. Peace out, you guys. Stay safe and stay warm. All right. See you guys soon.